Awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining. Are you with Diagrid?
No, I'm not. I actually work for a company called PlanView. We make project management software.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I guess should we can also, once more folks trickle in, we can potentially introduce ourselves as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, actually, I just turned on the recording, by the way, folks, so FYI. I have been trying to ask newcomers to introduce themselves so that we can, know how we can leverage you. I really, sorry, when you say Mauricio, I think of prototypes and, demos and things like that. We're definitely looking for some reusable samples if you're.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I love getting my hands dirty. I love being kind of in the weeds of things. So yeah, anyway, I can be of service. I'm just kind of looking for opportunities to grow, build connections. Yeah, and just to learn new things. I just love learning.
Welcome. Yeah, so let's say we have started the meeting here. So yeah, we could introduce everyone, though that might get a little much for every meeting, Abhinav. That's what I was just gonna have newcomers say hello.
Yeah, fair, completely fair. Yeah.
And yeah, so Jorge, I know we've met, but do you want to just briefly introduce yourself? We're just having new folks say hello.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, I am Jorge Lenfiesta, and I'm based in Barcelona. And I indeed met Josh during KubeCon in Amsterdam. And I mainly focus on backstage. So that's how I got involved into this, hoping to contribute something to developer portals to the group.
Awesome. I have a ton of questions for you, Jorge, because we're doing some backstage stuff. So I'll reach out.
Absolutely, yeah. Please do.
Yeah, it's great to have some backstage representation here. I know, Jorge, you're with Rody. I just got your newsletter for the week.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I recognize the name as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we met, I think, because you mentioned our paper, and I was like, let me reply. And
Yeah, I did. I was surprised when you replied. I was like, oh, somebody reads this newsletter.
I know I wasn't sure if it would actually go to anything, but I was like, it's better. All right, so that's our newcomers for the week. The agenda today, I put a couple things, but I think we should start with Michael. Michael and I were just chatting for the past hour, and I think the platform survey is in a pretty good shape. So I was going to ask Michael to kind of share where we're at, and yeah, you want to?
Yeah. We ran through it and whittled it down and cleaned it up right before this call. Highly recommend that everybody gets a chance to just go through the survey yourself. I think Josh posted a link in the channel and see if there are any issues that come up as you go through it. Hopefully it jumps to the right sections. The intent behind this is to get a sense of the maturity across the industry and for us to be able to recruit people to interview on the builder consumer side. And then I guess more really outside the survey would be the more on the leadership side in organizations to get that side of the story. Everything, this may kick off a certain kind of cadence that we send us out into community and start gauging how things change over time. And we're going to, obviously share our findings with everybody. So let me just run you through the flow of the thing. I think at least half of the people on this call have seen versions of this. We're going to get some background information on the company. We want to understand kind of their formal titles so we can start gauging what responsibilities match these titles, because there's still such a wide range in the platform world. Originally, we were asking company size, but a better gauge of maturity would be, how big their team that's actually working on this is internally. And if it's primarily a software business, where this is, the primary way that revenue is generated on company, and it's not, something where like really software is maybe or this side of the organization is really a cost center that nobody really takes too seriously, and platform may not really be a serious priority. At least we want to gauge what that looks like with the maturity side of the questions. And then, whittle down geographic location, just a sense of how things look like across the world. And this is our jumping off point for the builder consumer conditional branching, right? Either you're, actively working on the platform, or you're on one of the teams that's consuming the services, capabilities of the platform. So on the builder side, this is more for for interview qualification is, did you participate in the initial deployment of it, right? Were you part of the team that took on the platform initiative as like an actual strategic thing, or worked on it? Capabilities. Josh pulled this straight from the paper. How many of these things are you actually getting from the platform? And yeah, feel free to stop me at any point in time if you have a question or any thoughts that come to mind. Your organization offer these capabilities to consumers. Once again, select all that are applicable. Whether you're on your own, there's a dedicated team, it's a service provider. Are you getting these capabilities in any way, and what does that look like? We changed a bunch of these actually to open-ended questions to see which way respondents take it. So for builders, it's how do you inform consumers about new and upcoming capabilities? And then if it's no, we made it, actually, yeah, it's required. We made a required question. You put no if it's no, but we really want to see if it is a yes, in your own words, how do you do that, right? What comes to mind? I think, check boxes would be a little too limiting, and like bundling people into things that may or may not be really true. I think there's like an aspirational side when you see like, here are the 5 things that sound right. You might be tempted to click on one that doesn't really reflect the reality of how things operate in your organization.
One thing just with the open-ended questions and all that, like this is going to get us so much detail. It's going to be fantastic. Do we have a sense of what the response rate will look like on this? Like if we get a handful of people, is that success, or are we trying to get more? Is there something we could get sponsor companies to offer a raffle for it, or for responses, or something to just sort of, I'm just looking at this and there's a lot of drop-off opportunity on this, right? So even someone who actively wants to do this could find themselves going, oh, close tab, right? At a lot of points. And how do we keep them in is sort of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, we kicked that idea around. And I think it's like, a commonly good incentive. Can we bundle some swag? Like, what are our opportunities to get like cloud native swag and sponsored company swag? Yeah. Something we can talk through after this call, maybe.
And we can do it basically if we fail to get enough like people, right? So we can give it a shot, and if we actually just have a whole bunch of motivation and interest, and we end up with enough people, awesome. Like, but we can come out. Yeah.
Come back with another version that like resend the survey, be like, hey, this time bundles of swag.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just resend and be like, we've had a great uptake, but we want even more, including everyone who's already responded. We will, there's no, if we something like that, but just wanted to call it out that might be, I know Jorge, you were looking at ways to kind of engage community and stuff. That could be like a collaboration thing here, right? This obviously fits with what you're trying to do, potentially finding sponsors for this kind of work. But
Jorge,
it's looking really good. So
you have some sweet Brody swag for us? Yes.
I only have t-shirts.
We'll take
CNCF too.
Best cotton t-shirts, organic, made in Europe,
Perfect. Done. Yeah, we can loop back to that, but yeah, I think Abby, you're right. Maybe it doesn't hurt to send it out, see what the response rate is, and then adjust. We can always, half of least.
It's also
It'll be great.
I was
Sorry.
gonna mention that, yeah, but the sponsoring thing, I guess, is tricky because I don't know. I was traumatized by academia, so it might seem complex once we share the results, sharing that this was sponsored by this company, because then the results are gonna be like, oh, this is clearly just done for them to support their marketing or whatever.
We're gonna have it.
that's-
That's a very good call out. I guess we'll need to be like a bundle of swag unrelated to any company's, actual fingerprints on the survey.
I put down to for me to ask the CNCF if there's anything they could do. I think especially if they come to an interview and spend like a
Oh,
half
for,
hour.
for interview, we're definitely gonna put something together. That's a lot of time people are gonna be giving up. We gotta incentivize them.
Okay, so Michael, we had talked about interview frame. I'm going to put that under there to think about, like when we open an issue for the interview framework.
Yeah, I definitely want to put together some packages for participants. Maybe we'll just get all the people motivated by free t-shirts. Might skew the results.
Shouldn't, right? Still answer the same way, just be more motivated to do it.
Where did we leave off? Yeah, support for platform capabilities. Yeah, and in your time, in your own time, when you see these, if you have time, if anything's missing, right? If there are any gaps in how these like services might be consumed or supported on either side of it, we have time to change the questions. Measuring platform adoption, once again, open-ended. Gathering feedback from consumers, and then is there a path for contribution, right? Can somebody on the consuming team actually contribute in a meaningful way to the platform beyond just a ticket for something, right? Like, can they put up a PR? How deep can they go? And then obviously prioritization. This one's a little tricky. Obviously, no team wants to admit that they don't do this well, or that it's complete chaos, or that somebody tells them what their priorities are, and that's just kind of a pass through from a manager. But I rather get this back in people's own words, right? Like, what does prioritization look like? I think it's way more compelling than, here is the 5 ways that prioritization normally happens. Which ones match your organization? I think that one definitely skews aspiration. And then this goes back to, if they answer consumer, they jump to this section, and it's mostly the flip side of these questions, right? Like, which platform capabilities do you use? How do you access the platform capabilities, right? If it's self-serve, there's some ticketing system. If there's somebody on your team that does it, and this could be, there's a dedicated resource and there's some sort of decentralized platform team they coordinate maybe, or somebody on your team out of necessity just does this. And then, yeah, contribution to the platform, and then consultation, right? Or you ask for feedback. What does that look like? And then from there, both sections go to, I bundled in, hopefully, this won't be the question that's like a question too far, but just catch all, what's top of mind, right? Like, if you can wave a wand, what's the thing that you would want to disappear, or as like the biggest challenge you have, whether you're a consumer or a builder. And then it's the opt-in, right? Can you give us 30, 40 minutes of your time? And then maybe, swag. We can mention it here before we send this out. Any thoughts so far on the overall thing, the flow? How does it feeling for just length? We tried to pare it down to still capture enough to give us a good sense of maturity without, obviously going too deep. And then obviously, assuming we're going to get a good response rate, I mean, we'll tweak it if we don't. But the depth, obviously, will come from the interviews.
Is there like maybe using, given that some of the questions are open-ended, something that I would think are interesting to see is to understand how long has it taken to build these platforms? Because I've been, at least the backstage instances that I've seen, sometimes I've seen people trying to put together something for like a year before they release it. So it's just interesting at least to see how much are people investing in this, and but of course that might be another question. I don't know, but maybe if, in the question that says how do you measure adoption, maybe you can ask something. Could you share what percentage? Oh, sorry. My mind crossed to the other topic that I wanted to discuss, which was what percentage of the organization uses this platform, which is, I think, one of the biggest struggles that I usually see, at least with portals, that people build a portal and then like nobody uses it, or just very few people use it. And then what's the point of building this whole thing is not enough people are using it. So it's those are the two things that I like to find out. I don't know if you can like somehow feed them into existing questions without adding many more.
Yeah, good call out. Those are hard questions to get any one respondent to give us a meaningful answer about, I would think. Maybe on the... Yeah, I would imagine we'll get more out of interviews on that context, and if a pattern emerges than we would in a survey. I don't know. What's everybody think about that one?
I'm
So,
thinking,
so I guess one of the questions here I'm looking, are you consulted or asked for feedback about the platform? Do you want to just separate that into a yes or no question and then give the option to say, hey, if yes?
It gets on, it gets unruly in Google Forms.
Oh, okay, yeah, true, fair.
It's just a limitation of the thing. That's exactly how I wanted to do it the first time. It's like, if it's a no, we don't just move on.
Yeah.
So we bundled it in, and then we wrote these. What's missing is this. We just tried to make a description, just like explicitly how we want you to. If it's a no, just write no. It's fine. Please write no if you are. Not the cleanest way to do this, but limitation.
I think it's really good with a lot of the questions about what people view the platform as, because I think one of the things that's difficult about these kinds of forums is that while platform engineering has hit the hype cycle, it's not actually new that you need to be able to get access to infrastructure, and that there is a way to do that in your org, and that you may or may not have the ability to influence it or engage in it. And I think sometimes when I've noticed these kinds of surveys come out before, and the ones that tend to be very vendor driven, they tend to seem to present it as like this newfangled thing. Like you're either on board with the newfangled thing or you're not. And I think I've noticed in a good way that we haven't gone too far down that road. Like it's mostly like, it's more like there's capabilities that your organization does, talk to me about them. And rather than like, how on board hype cycle are you? So basically, in shorter words, well done, trying to keep it focused on the platform and the capabilities rather than like, how closely do you align to some new definitions of things or whatever. So yeah, I think that's really good.
Thanks. I think you've been in some of these calls. It's like the iterations that got us away from hype cycle to something more simpler that just tries to gauge reality. Yeah, none of this is new. You're doing these things somehow or otherwise. Like, how the hell are you shipping software? So cool. So the link, Josh posted it out. I think somebody already, while we're on the call, replied. Josh. Yeah. If you want to go through it, how was it? You just went through it.
you know,
Through?
you mentioned it, like I did kind of like as the required ones towards the end, I was like, oh God, do you want another thing for this? But I don't want to tell you how I prioritize at this point. But I was kind of going quick, so it did feel a little long, but let's see.
Well, yeah, it's good. Yeah. I suggest we all do the experiential thing and go through it and see if we hate it and tune out ourselves from our own survey. I think that's telling, but let's see what the uptick is, or like, what the response rate's going to be. And then I'm always pro swag. If we can throw swag at it to just get people to hold on near the end. Cool. All right. So
We'll get feedback. We'll see. It's a iterative process, right? It's like one of those things where you just got to sometimes, release it and see.
I think
This is beyond the speaking my product hat, or like, just, yeah, but gotta do it, right?
Yeah, I think we took our time with it, and we got to get it out into the world now.
Yeah.
So that actually, that's the last thing is, I think we were talking, Michael, maybe we'll write a 2 or 3 paragraph post describing the goals. That's one way we'll publicize it, but like maybe we should get that done in the next couple of days, and then we can just circulate the link in all of the different ways that we circulate things, socials, slide decks, discussions.
So, quick question: to not have one thing hold up the other, can we take the link with like literally one line through normal social channels and just say, hey, we're doing a platform survey to gauge, how far the platforms come along in the industry or whatever. Here's a link. People are going to start, responding to that, and we'll see what that looks like, while the more, kind of formalized, here's why we're doing this little blog post comes out.
It's fine with me. What does everyone else think? Like, is that okay? Just share the link informally and let's go. Let's get started.
Yeah, I'll probably share from my LinkedIn, and Saeem can share, and we can just
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no reason to hold it up, right?
How long do you want to run this survey for?
Wondering that too. Do we want to set a deadline now?
I don't have a specific deadline in mind. I kind of want to see what the responses are going to look like over maybe the first week.
Yeah, we don't have to say anything now. I mean, maybe it makes people hurry or something. But it's fine with me. I'll just leave it open. I just turned on a notification thing to get notified. Yeah, and we can talk about how to give access to this if other people want to. Actually, we need to think about that. It is in the tag post. So it's not.
We can share you mean live share the results as they come in?
Yeah, let people review. Yeah, exactly. Whoever, if people wanted access. Should we be clear about that in the thing? Like it's not private, like anyone in CNCF will, like, these information will be readable to basically the public.
Did we end up getting advice on GDPR, etc.?
Not
I know that
explicit.
there was some conversation with CNCF, but I think that is in.
Yeah, there is an official CNCF survey process, but they were we weren't able to get into it easily.
Yeah, so I think that you can't make this public without approval of that stuff. And I think, you can get rid of people's names or whatever, but I think you're also potentially at risk with GDPR, and it's a thing to be aware of.
Emails and companies I would want to strip before anything is shared. Like, people don't really need to know that. We need it for.
What about us internal? That's what I'm a little not sure about. Like, because I mean, it's not like I'm officially employed by CNCF. Like,
Right.
What delineates us? Like, is there any, like, if somebody says to me, I want access, how do I say yes or no?
Access to what exactly we're saying here?
Results. Because we're capturing emails, we're capturing company names if they add them. We don't want to have that widely circulated, right? We want to anonymize that part. Pull those fields essentially.
So who can, I guess, who can see that today, the responses? Is there a way to say like only the owner of this survey and maybe have like just folks from this work, like, a few folks from the working group or tag app? I guess the
What?
problem is it's like the ownership thing. Yeah, maybe this is a tricky question because yeah, like I don't, of course, Josh and Michael and everything, but who else is considered an owner on this thing as well? That's
So that, yeah, it is in the tags thing, and like, the tag leads I can justify, we're listed, I guess. Michael, I've added, that's what I'm kind of not sure what the process is. Like, let's say you want to join Abhinav and you participate in our group. Is that enough? I mean,
We have somebody internally who can answer that for us in terms of GDPR compliance. I mean, we
Yeah.
could just look. I mean, we could run through it if it's not top of mind for anybody. But
I mean, just getting an email address means you're in GDPR. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
chat GPT to thing just to at least be like, it's a thing. We're aware.
Yeah.
We're gonna take care of your stuff. But yeah, I mean, this should go in front of the legal. Like I would be uncomfortable with it. Personally, if I was liable with it as is.
let me, oh, that's what it's, GDPR disclaimer. Let me raise it with Amy. Is that a good next step? Amy Scavarda parent, she's a lawyer.
Yeah, I just think the big thing is duration of storage and access to data are going to be the two like things that we need to be clear about. So
And communicate to the respondents, right? Like,
I'm sorry.
and communicate to the respondents. Make it very clear.
Yeah,
that
that's what I'm saying. We need to be clear about it and therefore make it visibly clear to them as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So there is a lawyer internally who can answer in terms of the duration question, the who can be in the group and what's the liability of the people in the group. Because then are the handful of us entirely liable for that data? I would imagine there has to be some liability somewhere.
Yeah, there is a lawyer. I mean, Amy Scavarda parent is the CNCF's lawyer, and I can ask her. I want to think about how to ask carefully so we don't get kiboshed. So yes, but yeah, let me start a thread with her. Seems like maybe the proposal, I think what Abby you're kind of saying, maybe, and we can ask her, like, we can give her a hypothesis. If we put this disclaimer at the beginning or link to a disclaimer, will that be enough for us?
I would go into it being like, we've been thoughtful about this, but we are aware that we don't have a huge footprint. We don't want to create one. We are therefore going to have a minimal disclaimer. Here's our proposed disclaimer. Is this enough? Kind of thing. So basically making sure that she doesn't feel like she has to like go turning over every stone, like that we haven't even thought about it and whatever. But like, if it's not, she'll tell us, right? That's her job.
Yeah.
Her skill set.
On the respondent side, I really want to stress the fact that their emails and company names won't be associated with their answers as they're going through the survey. Like I want to front load that. Because if you think that, all of this is going to be public information because of their organization, and then my email is there with my very candid answers about my company, that at the very least, it skews the responses. So yeah, good call. Okay, so I guess next steps on that is Amy with, we've been very thoughtful. Here's the minimal thing, very small group. And what's the appropriate duration to say that we're going to hold on to these? We're going to definitely not share any of this outside of like these 2 or 3 people or whatever.
Okay, I'll start a thread with you and me and Amy, Michael. I think that would be good.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Abby. Did we cover anything else? I think we covered legal, we covered swag, we covered the content.
One more last item is that Josh mentioning that he was subscribed to results. Maybe something that we can do, and I don't know if this will make it more complicated. We can have like a last question at the end saying like, do you want to subscribe to the platform, whatever mailing list, and then we'll mail you the results and other news. That way you already cleared that we use their email to communicate back to them.
Yeah, I wonder, I need to double check. I'll do it right after if you can just do that after you submit, if there's like on the thank you page. Because
There
we
is that.
get the results, we don't want to hold it up with any unnecessary anything. And then once we get that, they can
Yeah,
opt
okay.
in.
Makes sense.
There is
The
a settings page, Michael. Yeah, take a look. There's something like the response to send. I just pasted. You could put this link to our mailing list, and we can say we'll publish, info there.
I'll take a look. There's got to be a way to do it. All right.
Sorry, one more thing. I went ahead and filled out the form as well. So this more so just back on the content side. I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was too long. Like it definitely it took a little bit, but it wasn't like a super inconvenient amount of time. And I thought the questions were good questions. They didn't feel like unnecessary questions. So like, why would they be asking about this or that? So I just wanted to kind of just validate what's already been said as someone kind of from the outside. I thought it was pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yeah. All right, let me move us to the next section here. I guess Abby, if you want to, I think you're having a meeting tomorrow on the maturity model. How's that going? Do you need any help?
Yeah, I think that it's not going very fast right now. I'll be honest. I'm like absolutely slammed with April and May conferences, if I'm being completely frank. So there's only so much I can push for a couple more weeks. But what'd you say?
You've been popping up on my LinkedIn feed a lot.
Oh, so much so. Make it stop. But in reality, I also don't want to push yet because there are some really big questions that I think some people are asking that I think would be nice to have discussion on before we start looking at the details, right? Like we don't want people debating over individual words if we're actually like, wait a second, are we even allowed to do this? Should we be doing this? Big question. So that's what the point of the call tomorrow is. It's going to be maybe 30 to 45 minutes is the current plan, hoping to get some people on the line that have these kinds of concerns and questions, which is the right, so we have the right forum to have the conversations. Please come join if you're interested. But also then hopefully we'll be able to tackle some of the kind of next tier questions, I'd say, which are around things like you raised, Josh, of like how aligned with the white paper is the maturity model currently? Is the vocabulary something that we can do to make it easier for readers to go from one to the next? And those kinds of questions. And then we'll kind of, filter down to the final, like, which word do we use in this sentence kind of feedback, which we will do before we get to the point of publishing. So yeah, so I think it's been good so far. We've got the time booked. Hopefully people can make it. And if not, we'll figure out a way to do it asynchronously.
We have a link. I'm sorry if I missed it for this meeting. Potentially I can try to join in.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the question.
Oh, I was saying if we have a link for the meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, so the Josh linked in here to the issue, and down at the bottom of the issue there is a invite with a Google calendar. So down make it a change. Just change that link slightly. Copy link. I change this to that, which is the issue comment in specific that points to the meeting that we're going to be having. There you go. And that meeting has a Zoom in it. To be fair, I think it has a Zoom that's my Zoom. And Josh, if I understand correctly, the Zoom that we're currently using can be recorded and would be available. Is that correct? Cool. Then I'll make sure to change that in the invite and make sure that we use this Zoom so that it's more likely people are able to access it and there aren't any questions or concerns or anything like that. But
I have to download it and push it to YouTube. So if you did do it somewhere else, you could just send me the video.
Do that instead. Okay.
This is our Zoom. And actually, I was going to ask you, Abby, do you want me to create an event in our community group?
Probably something I should have done more than the day before. Lessons learned. Like, yes, but maybe it's not super high value for you to spend the time on, given it's the day before. If we end up with low attendance or an inability to run the meetings, or for whatever reason we run another meeting, I will take you up on that and ask upfront. Sorry, lessons learned as you go through these things.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for handling it. I appreciate that, that's for sure. Okay, cool. So the last thing really on the agenda today, the official thing is Jorge. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about your proposal and your ideas, and are you up for that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's not that complicated, I guess, what I have in mind so far, but it's the proposal came from a topic that Avi mentioned last meeting, and I think it's just that so many things are happening right now in the space of platform engineering in general, and there's dozens of vendors pushing narratives and surveys on their own and stuff. So I think it would be nice to have like a structured voice for this working group, because it's like a very high interest thing right now. People want to hear as well from like this kind of vendor neutral territory that we offer, which is quite rare right now in the space. So I think it has to have some like intentional work to put it out. For initiative like the survey, I think it'd be great if we could coordinate with other companies, like maybe other CNCF members, or I can bring it up in the marketing, the CNCF marketing group, and say, hey, we're doing this, somebody up for collaborating with this working group, and share it on their company website if they are interested. And yeah, just coordinate how do we reach the people that we want to reach, because the space is kind of saturated. And if we want to be heard by more people, we might just need to make some more efforts around that. Maybe create some LinkedIn page, or talk to certain key people that agree to be like, yeah, I'll publish this and I'll recommend it. Because organic is fine, but then it limits as well the amount of people that we can get to our own network. So yeah, that's why I thought of this role, but I don't know how it can be conducted in this kind of CNCF space.
I like how you called out that the space is pretty saturated. So we have to be deliberate, but you also called out that we're vendor neutral, which gives us a value that folks don't
Exactly.
have.
I think the one thing that I'm thinking about is you're talking about trying to get out, and you talked about things like a LinkedIn page and all that. I want to be really intentional about maintenance, upkeep and maintenance for this work. Because like I know we talk about it, we were just having a massive conversation about this at KubeCon from the technical point of view. Oh, if we're gonna do like proof of concepts or reference architectures or things like that, like those are hard to keep up to date as things evolve. Like just as hard to keep links not from going dead and things like that. So like, don't know who it was, but somebody recommended we change the link on our GitHub repo to point at our new website. Like, think that was brilliant. Like these like small things that make it so that we're always kind of presenting the same backlink, and make it really maintainable is I think the thing. Because as I was just saying, for the work I'm working on, there are ebbs and flows in all of our abilities to work on stuff. So having it be something that other people can step in and be effective in is I think the way that we make sure it's a long-term success. So just keeping that in mind. I know you're already thinking about this stuff, but yeah.
So just trying to fully grasp. So like the pain point is that, like, just trying to fully grasp the pain point. Can somebody like summarize that in like one or two sentences?
The pain point that Jorge is addressing?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I mean, Jorge, if you want to speak, you can.
Sure. I just maybe I don't know how to express it.
No.
In a
I'm
different way, but
yeah. No, I'm
yeah,
just trying to make sure I fully understand what we're
yeah,
proposing.
it's fine. It's hard to speak about pain point for me, because I don't know if we are like, I guess the problem that I see is that it's hard to reach people and have them hear our message consistently and what we are talking about and what we want to say. because as Abby mentioned right now, it can be difficult to even say this is what we are doing, because even you share a link and it's the outdated version, and yeah, that's kind of the general idea. I don't know if somebody has a better way of.
No, got it. It makes sense now. Yeah, I know Saeem had created like a platform engineering like LinkedIn group. Potentially there's an opportunity to use that because he made it in a generic way, right? So it's because the thing is there's a platform engineering Slack community. I know there's a lot of kind of, it is there's a lot of noise on that, right? Good or bad. I'm not going to comment on that, but it can be good and it can be, it can be a little bit distracting sometimes as well. So it would be good to have I think it maybe like either using this LinkedIn group or whatever it could be, just to have kind of a thing where maybe it's representing what we're doing from the platforms working group thing overall and just showcasing thought leadership there. The only thing is it would require some kind of owner to maintain that everything, which is definitely one of the biggest challenges. But I know Saeem is doing some of that today in platform things and is posting kind of like agnostic stuff, like some stuff, from different companies and everything. But I think the challenge there, of course, is just who's going to continuously curate and update and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the other idea.
I'd sort of advocate against trying to own any platforms. As you say, there's a vendor owning a Slack space. There was another vendor who was trying to own Reddit. There's another vendor who's doing LinkedIn, each kind of trying to appear vendor neutral, but they're all like, we've seen what happens with Twitter when Twitter falls over. Like, I think if we're going to try and do something, we should be driving it through our own website, and we can then be posting it in places. And the posting it is like an add-on. It's like sprinkles on top. But the place you go to, the RSS feed, if we don't already have one, maybe we put one in, I don't know. But like the thing you're looking for from the working group is the working group's website, would be something I'd want to hear why we'd pick one platform over another, and why we'd kind of basically offload our content to a third party, if given we've just invested in a site at this stage. But
I think we still post a website. I think it's more of a matter of like, which channels are we using to communicate, if that makes sense, right? Because
and we can post to the LinkedIn
Yeah.
group, and we can post to the Slack, and we can post to the Reddit, and all those, as they say, like those can be the things that link back to the source of truth is that site. So is where I think it is. But I think just to say, I think, Jorge, the work, the way you laid it out in that document, I think is a lot more than just writing content. It's also curating those relationships. I think what Michael is doing with the driving with the survey, and I know it's been a lot more than just you, Michael, that's been working on it, but like that's like very tightly coupled. I think I maybe pinged you two together in a channel at some point, like how we identify who to speak to, how we drive out surveys, what content we create in the back of those surveys, and as well as interviews, I think is like all like intertwined. We can only have so many touch points with people before they start to go, but I just talked to somebody else in the group last week, and I have a call with someone else next week, and like, what's going on? So
I think it would be nice to, and I don't know, because of course everybody's really busy, and it's not right to create more work on everybody, but it's just an idea. Like to Abby's point, right? A lot of the conversations that are happening, they're kind of, a couple folks here, a couple folks there, and tag app delivery, like it was cool. Like when I went there was a lot of things that I didn't even know about that were part of the thing, but it might be nice to maybe have like a summary sort of email or something, or blast that can go out. Maybe if we have an opportunity to post that on the general CNCF channel or something, but like something that kind of summarizes the highlights of each month and all the cool work we're doing, right? Like for example, like we can reference the maturity model, we can reference like the GitOps, I think there was something around the GitOps practices, and there was, we can reference, the survey, just for folks to be aware of all the cool work we're doing. And, if they want to get involved, join the Slack. It just literally just be like, hey, if you want to get involved, join the CNCF platform working group Slack, and have a link to it or something. Maybe it could be as simple as that. just to, you know, Jorge, you're doing the newsletters today, right? And those are really good to drive awareness. I mean, it could be as some even simpler, just kind of having like a monthly summary update like that. And you know, I'm more than happy to help create like a template for that, and then folks can just add whatever they want. Sorry, should have put my phone on do not disturb, but it's like it's kind of a lightweight thing where, you know, we can just have a template. Like Michael, you could maybe then just add your survey thing, like a 2-3 sentences to it. You know, we could add, like Abby, you could add your 2 or 3 sentences if there's something like, you know, so that way, you know, it's just kind of, we're making the work easier for people by just having a template like that. So
I think this is great, like super light touch, and it finds me in my inbox. That's really the way that I'm used to interacting with a lot of communities. Like, I don't have time to know all the things that are going on, but when they're surfaced, you know, and I just check my inbox and read through them, be like, oh, there's a thing I care about and should talk to this person about. It makes it actionable, because you know, how many of us are going to go deep into all these channels to figure out and connect the dots ourselves? Everybody's busy. Yeah, but
Is
I
it
think
true?
that one.
I love this idea too. I actually had been thinking of like a newsletter or status update for months. But you know, there are like, I mean, Jorge has one from Rody on Backstage, and Luca has one on platform engineering. I guess I just wanted to bring that up. Is that a concern? Do we need to make sure that we're not like too much interfering with what exists? I'm looking to you, Jorge, for your insights.
I think people want, if I don't know what the brand thinks, but if we can say CNCF platform groups, I think this is something that people want to know what we're working on. Because it's, you know, it's like a proved vendor neutral way. It's not a fake vendor neutral place. That this thing doesn't exist to my knowledge right now. All the platform things are vendor anchored. So I think just having the possibility of saying, yeah, I want to subscribe to see what's up with the CNCF. What do they have to say to the platform just once a month? I think it's fine to do that. And I think it's quite desirable. And I would love to write about that. Like I like writing my newsletters. So it'll be exciting for me to write the reports on what the platform working group is doing. Yeah, that's something that would be nice too. And if it's convenient for people as well.
And we've got the content sort of in progress by doing the like notes that work for our calls right now, right? So like being able to just synthesize those into like, here are the open issues that are like the hottest issues of the month, come chat on them kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
'cause they'll all be there, right? You shouldn't have to like generate brand new content every
Yeah.
month. There should be a lot that's being produced already, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I think. The way I think about it is like, we already have like the working group has so much already. It's just that people are not being exposed to this, and that's what the kind of thing that is in my mind. How do we get this into people's eyes without disturbing them, of course,
Yeah,
and also to get it. Yeah.
It's amazing to have some marketing. I didn't even know there was CNCF marketing. So great that you're already looped in there.
I'm in the marketing group because Rody is a member. So yeah, that's why I know about it.
Do you want Jorge to try to get something together for 2 weeks from now for our next meeting, and then, you know, it'll be our main newsletter. You can kind of discuss it with us next time.
Sure. Yeah. The thing I don't know is I think the CNCF already has some way of doing webinar, of doing a newsletter. I don't know how you submit to that, or how do you have that? I don't know how that works at all. But yeah, can try to figure it out.
Yeah, I can help some. I mean, you might have with your, if you're in the marketing group, maybe ask there too. Maybe they know.
Yeah, the marketing group is more targeted to vendors, but like
Mhm.
helping sponsors do things, not talking about the CNCF. It's like very meta, I guess, for them, but I can reach out, and they're very friendly people.
I mean, the other thing is, like, Josh, we could just come up with an example, right? Template, like, you know, if folks want to join, we can just have a meeting, just quickly come up through that and then propose it. Maybe sometime, like, you know, just sometimes it's easier for us, like kind of with the survey, right? We get something out, we show it, and then go from there. Maybe might be less hoops to jump through. And we can reference example templates like your Rody one, and I know there are a few others as well that we can emulate the structure because those are already really good today. So
The content is
Thank-
relatively easy to put together. It's just for me, like what channel, like how do we make this work, and how do I tell people sign up here to this newsletter? Those are the two main issues that I don't know. For putting together the content, I think that's relatively easy.
I think
Just
if we can leverage this platform engineering LinkedIn group and have maybe the banner of it could say like, hey, if you're more interested, sign up on this thing. Maybe we turn it into kind of a CNCF thing as well in particular. I think but yeah, I agree, something easy where the information is obvious to join this thing, right? And then it could be also like we may want to talk with the marketing folks at CNCF, Josh, like if there's some like SEO optimization that they can do, like hey, if somebody is searching platform engineering, the first link that comes up or the second link that comes up when you do a Google search is our CNCF platform working group page. I don't know if they'll be willing to invest in that or something, but there's no harm in asking, right? Just to find out if there's anything they can do there.
Yeah, sorry for that long link. Here's a better one. Where somebody, Carolyn, who passed away, unfortunately, shared that maintainer from Tag CS contributor strategy. So, I could ask them. I was really excited when she shared it. I was the first responder. I was like, oh, can we get more of these? So, okay, I think we know what we want to do there. We'll continue working on the details.
I'll put something together for next time with whatever I can find out and share with the group in 2 weeks.
Awesome. That sounds great. Okay, the other two things that I put at the very end of our notes here are just, they're really things for me to follow up on about the platforms paper, so don't need to talk about them now. Yeah, I think that's it, unless anyone else wants to discuss any further. Anything else? All right, well, I know me and Michael have been on the call for 2 hours now, so go get some coffee.
Yeah,
Good
I
to
think
see
it's about
everybody.
time. Thanks, everyone.
Great to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
See y'all later. See you in a couple weeks.
Bye.